Hi, I'm Larry Shover, CIO of SFG Alternatives, reporting to you from the CME Group in Chicago. Well, it's hard to say, hard to believe, but yet once again, we're in a convictionless market. Volatilities are softer generally across the board. When you think of the overhangs out there, especially the fiscal cliff, something they're talking about right now, volatility is telling a far different story. The markets are expecting somewhere between 1% and 4% of GDP, and we all know that 4% of GDP would ensure a great correction in the market and much higher volatilities. But right now, volatility is very, very soft. Let's start off with equities and just get that out of the way. The implied vols for the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow largely are softer to lower on the day. Skew is definitely down once again, mainly because big investors are rolling down their long put strikes. They're selling put spreads, also buying some calls, so therefore we're seeing skew just a little bit lower on the day. Treasuries, or the whole rate market, volatility is soft there as well. Even though the Fed sold about $75 billion of front end, the curve just continued to rally today. Volatilities were soft across the board. What's interesting to note, though, especially in the 10 years, is that we're continuing to see a large amount of put buying from macro funds and institutional traders. They've been doing this for the past 5 to 7 trading days. Moving on to FX. FX, the same old story, sounds like a broken record. Volatilities are generally softer across the board. We're seeing euro and Swiss franc volatility a little bit softer than we are seeing British pound, Aussie dollar, or Canadian dollar. They're a little bit softer, but not as much as euro vol. Moving on to oil. Oil vol started off today mixed to a little bit higher in late trade as oil market tailed off just a little bit. We saw volatility get a little bit softer. Let's call it unchanged on the day. On to metals. Base metals are generally in the red today, but they are outperforming the tape in general when we see steel, aluminum, and copper. Those vols are what I would call firm. They're not higher on the day, but not lower either. Gold and silver generally lower today. We're not seeing a whole lot of buying interest like we've seen in the last 5 to 7 trading days where people were buying a lot of out-of-the-money calls. Right now, there seems to be a lack of interest in everything, and perhaps that will be the narrative from now till the end of the year, that vols will be softer until the game changes somewhere across the board. I'm Larry Shover, CIO of SFG Alternatives, reporting to you from the CME Group in Chicago.